name's Rob Frazier. I'm a partner here at Goranson Bain, I'm board certified by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization in Family Law. I'm going to be talking today about whether a spouse can take, through the divorce process, a business that was created either before or during the marriage. To answer the question of whether a spouse can take a business that's been created during or before the marriage through the divorce process is like any legal question. For the most part, it depends. However, most of the parties that I represent during the divorce process who own a business, the outcome at the end of the process is that business owner is going to retain ownership of the business. So to answer the question, can my spouse take my business through the divorce process? The most common outcome is no. You are going to retain your business after the divorce process. I often get the question of whether the business is an asset to be addressed during the divorce process, and the answer is yes. One of the objectives of the divorce process is to identify all the assets, including businesses, that have been acquired during the marriage, and then determine who's going to walk away with those assets. So to simply answer the question, is a business an asset to be divided during the divorce process? The simple answer is yes. As an asset, the business in the property division needs to be identified, valued, and then allocated. Part of that process is to be what spouse is going to walk away with the business. And as I've expressed previously, most of my business owner clients are concerned about whether they will be awarded the business post-divorce. In the vast majority of the cases that we handle, that indeed is the case. An example of a business owner's ownership interest in a business through the divorce process would be, let's take for example that wife owns a small business, and what she does is through the divorce process, it's her intent, her goal to retain that business through the divorce process. Step one would be identifying the business as an asset, which it is. Second would be determining what, if any, value that business has. Third would be allocating that asset to the wife along with the entire community property distribution through the divorce process. The value of a business is determined in the divorce process, typically through the sharing of information. The Texas pattern jury charges, which we use as guidance in our valuation and distribution of the community estate process, determines that a value of a business is determined by what a third party would pay for that business absent the goodwill that is owned by the owner of the business. Effectively saying most businesses, if they're smaller in nature, rely almost entirely on the goodwill of the owner of that business. By that I mean, if that owner was to sell their business to a third party without the owner retaining influence in the business, typically the business would be worth nothing. So we take that into consideration as to what the value of the business is. However, larger businesses that own vehicles or equipment can be valued as to what their value would be if sold to a third party. A business owner can protect his or her ownership interest in the divorce process by working with their attorney at the outset of the legal proceeding to identify the ownership interest in that business. By that I mean, some businesses were formed prior to the marriage, which means their characterization through the divorce process is going to be that of separate property. However, businesses formed during the marriage will likely be identified as community property. To protect his or her interest, the idea is working with the attorney, getting a proper valuation of the business, and ensuring that their goals are met through this process to ensure that the owner walks away from the divorce with that ownership interest intact. My top piece of advice for a business owner going through a divorce process is to remain calm. There is structure and consistency to the divorce process. Maintain your business, run your business, keep detailed records that you share with your attorney, and know that there's light at the end of the tunnel for your business. One of the goals I have with working through these business owners through the divorce process is to make sure that I am working with them step by step to ensure that the entity they've created, that they've poured their heart and soul and time into, is protected through the divorce process. They come out the end of this process with the ownership intact and able to move on from the divorce.